is a Star Wars podcast coming to you as always from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful eyes of the Galactic Empire. My name is John Mark Tolley, and joining me as always are my two co-hosts, Garrett and Will. Guys, how are you doing?
Doing well.
I'm fair to Midland.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go. Yeah. All right. Well, this entire show is just going to be dedicated to one thing and one thing only. That is, the first 3 episodes that have just dropped of Andor. And I think we just need to get right into it, discuss the big thing, the big topic, the big thing that I've been hearing, get your guys' thought on it. Is this show too slow? That's been the one complaint that I've been hearing, is it's too slow.
You know what? I don't think so. And the reason for that is because it's a slow burn. They're giving you a little bit more of his backstory. One of the things I really appreciate is how certain scenes are juxtaposed with scenes from his childhood growing up on
Kennedy. Oh, yeah.
I think that's brilliant. And so I'm really wanting to know more about that childhood experience, because the scene where they find the crashed ship is really kind of intense, but at the same time I'm kind of curious as to why troopers would just start shooting kids. But that having
Republic troopers. Republic.
Well, no, that's the thing though. That's the thing though. That's what's got me confused. It's got that's the because they've talked about that on New Rockstars. Oh, yeah. That symbol is a separatist. That's a separatist insignia.
I'm gonna say this though. I'm gonna table that for one thing. The only way I'm trying to give discussion on the film on the episodes based solely on what we saw and not on what New Rockstars or anybody else interpreted.
Right.
When you take all that away, I watched each episode twice, and it was mentioned that these are Republic ships.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it's we are still in the Republic if Cassian is.
Yeah. Well, it's been so I know it's been talked about in some of the books before that his family or someone with him he was alive during that time period, which would make sense if the main story takes place 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, which that was the first. That's the first time we've seen the BBY
in
film.
Or TV.
So that he would have been during that when he was a kid. He would have been a kid during the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I think that. And by the way, I agree with Garrett. I don't think it's been it's too slow. I do feel that they're taking their time fleshing out characters and giving you just giving you an opportunity to breathe.
And I think that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Just breathe and kind of get to know the space, because it isn't just about we're not on any familiar planets. I mean, they mention a planet that was featured in Rogue One. They're going to do I forget the name of it, but we're doing a supply run such and such there. But beyond that, these are all new worlds. These are all new areas, and it's good to be able to just kind of see how things flesh out. And I don't feel that it's slow at all.
Well, I think a lot of it is, and this I'm trying to work out my words here, but
use your words.
Yes. Star Wars fans aren't necessarily used to this. And are you still there, Will?
I'm still there. I mean,
okay, you froze up. Yeah, you froze up a little. Yeah,
okay.
It's okay. And I was thinking about this when I was at work about how I was going to talk about this, but Star Wars isn't Star Trek. And I know people are thinking, well, yeah, but traditionally Star Wars hasn't been very necessarily cerebral in its approach to shows. Where Star Trek always had. I mean, there not that there hasn't been moments in the movies and the shows that have made people think, but at least the viewpoint for, I think, for a lot of fans, a lot of people, is Star Wars is pew pew, and so when you have a show that slows things down, that makes you think, that makes you go like, okay, what's going on here? There could be the idea from some fans of like, oh, this isn't like what I'm used to with Star Wars. This is too slow. This is boring. But I think this is a welcome change for me for Star Wars, to slow things down, to get people thinking like, what's going on here?
Well, I think that if you're going to take a risk, which, let's face it, you have to do that from time to time, especially if you're going to just keep introducing new stories, new streaming series that are in the Star Wars universe. I felt like if you're going to take something and be a little more cerebral or be a little more thought-provoking, the Rogue One character of Cassian Andor is probably a great place to start. And and Mon Mothma, which we haven't even seen yet, and I do feel that the third episode did provide a little more action than the first two.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I didn't change the fact that I was very interested in what was going on in the first two, both in the present day versus the flashback sequences.
Yeah. Well, and you have to, not just in slowing the tempo down, but in like the idea of not giving us translations for what the Kenari kids are saying.
Right.
That was a risk. I mean, right there. You can kind of get an idea of what's going on just by their actions, but that's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's really brilliant, because what it does is, one of the things that happens when you have a film or television program like this, when you're trying to do a lot of information, especially when you're giving a flashback, is you want to do what's called info dumping, where you have characters expositing huge chunks of information, because it's easier than letting the camera pick up on it. And it happens a lot of the times through dialogue, whether the character is explaining something to themselves, or they're reading it from some manual or dossier or whatever, or they're having a conversation. And if you have these characters who are isolated on this planet having conversations, we have no idea what they're saying, but you can see that there's some peaceful relationship between the characters. They're kind of there surviving on their own. They're looking after each other. You get the sense of, it's kind of like a Lord of the Flies type situation.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
And so they've developed and whether this is a language that they were born to or they developed in their isolation, we don't know. But what we get is this, we get this sense that it doesn't need to be explained for us. We don't need the translation, because their actions are going to speak far louder than their words will.
Yeah.
I feel like this series so far is trusting the audience to be more mature. Not necessarily, and I'm not just talking about adults. I mean, I think children can handle this, albeit I don't think they should watch it unattended. But I think, maybe not quite as young children, but I do think that they can understand what's going on. They can figure this out, because people are smarter than sometimes networks give them credit for.
Well, and I mean, right there, you just said something right there. That's another, we talked about this show taking a risk. I think this is the first time that I know of that sex has been explicitly, not, obviously not explicitly, but pretty explicitly referred to in a Star Wars movie or show.
Yeah, although I love the memes that have been coming out because of it. Like, everyone says, first time we've seen sex in Star Wars, and then first, you see like Hera and Kanan, like something like that. Like, that was more insinuated.
Although we did have Anakin and Padme sleeping in the same bed together in episode 3.
Yeah.
Not to mention that whole fireside sequence that I always thought was the most
in episode 2.
thing.
Yeah, that was by far my favorite Amidala outfit of all time. But I was also in college at the time when that movie came out, so
I just about me. For me, I was older, so what the way I saw it was like, okay, so she's telling him. Sorry to divert here, she's telling him that we can't do this. We absolutely cannot have a relationship. This is not right. And she chooses the most sexiest outfit that she's ever worn in all 3 movies. She could have worn any of the other outfits, any other of them, and she could have sat and talked to him, and it would have been easier to handle. But she had to wear that particular one,
Yeah.
the choker collar, and it going down.
Yeah.
I really sided with Anakin on that one. I was like, oh,
Naboo, they have a weird sense of what's considered tactful.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anyway, because I'm bringing it back to Andor. Yeah, you're right though, John. They did. I was like actually wondering like how far are they going to take this?
Yeah.
Are we going to be getting like NYPD Blue levels here? Are we going to be getting?
I think it's going to be definitely like TV 14, TV 14.
Again, fine. I mean, if you're going to expand the storytelling, you have to.
Yeah.
And again, it's not going to resonate. I've said it time and again. It will not resonate with every single person. And so far, I mean, the reviews on I haven't read them specifically, but it's like 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
I think it's getting far more positive feedback than negative.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to see where it goes. So
well, let's talk about like this idea of the private security forces doing the basically the dirty work of the Empire.
Yeah,
I love that idea. I love that idea.
I thought it was my first read. I thought it was, and I will say this: I should have set my settings on my TV when I watched it the first time because I don't know, I had it on like some kind of a setting where the voices were so quiet, and if I had just adjusted a little bit, I could have heard it much better. But I did that the second time, so it made more sense. But one of the things that I thought at first was that this was, first of all, I thought they were on planet. I just didn't think that Cassian shot those 2 guys and then went to another planet. Yeah. So I was just thinking it was local police, but it really wasn't. It was local. It was localized, but it was security. It was private.
Yeah, they're like a system police.
Yeah, and it's a private police. It's different, it's not really the government. It's really more like a hired gun, essentially, that wore uniforms.
Yeah.
How funny was and I'm still learning names. Who was the young blue guy, the blue cop that would like tailored his uniform?
What's his name? Yeah.
I didn't pick up on the name either. But I like how this guy is like so strong and so set in his duty that like he's going on like adjusting his uniform to make it look as presentable and neat and nice and official as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how his the people that are above him are like, let's just sweep that under the rug. We don't want any issues.
Everybody had like this is their new story, this is what really happened, and they're gonna kind of go through it. It was funny that would seem to be kind of a theme.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone had their, even Andor was like going to him. He's like, "No, you were here." I love that story he told to the worker. It's like we were drinking, and then the worker just comes up with like, but you insulted this, so we got in a fight, and that's how you got the black eye, and that's how this happened. Like I love that whole thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One of the things I really liked was just how lived in this part of the Star Wars galaxy looks. Like more so than, probably more so than we got with newer entries. Like when we saw Solo in Corellia, it didn't, like, things still looked, because they used a lot of CGI to depict where they were. It wasn't shot on set. It was shot on location. It was shot on a studio. So it looked manufactured. This one looks like, the Junkyard Planet.
Yeah.
It looks very lived in, very rustic. Everything's falling apart. They're recycling components from other things to make them work for whatever it is that they're using. And it makes it far more tangible, I think.
One thing I like so far as the aesthetic of it and how everything feels is, even though we have yet to see Imperial stormtroopers, even though we have yet to see, Imperial officers or the Empire, you can still feel the presence of the Empire. You can still the way people just kind of talk in whispers and talk in the shadows, and are you can still feel that oppression of the Empire, even though we have yet to see the Empire.
I was gonna say, going back for a moment to the way the place was all built, that whole set that was the town.
Yeah,
It's impressive how much detail went into that. But I gotta say, it was definitely inspired by Batuu, by Galaxy's Edge, which I thought
mm,
was brilliant on the part of the designers to create this kind of similar type of haven. Although, albeit a little bit more industrial, a little more dirty, a little bit
yeah,
more, um, cables and reused components all strewn everywhere to give it more of a a desolate type of look. So
yeah,
yeah, I do appreciate that, and I do feel like it brought me into the world.
yeah.
Um,
That
particularly, like the earlier scenes in the first couple episodes, not as much, not because I didn't like them, but because it was so dark. The first scene, it
yeah.
was dark and raining, and I get it, and it's fine to have that. It was nice to be able to see, when the sun
Mhm.
came up and you can actually see stuff. So
I will say that one of the that opening scene in the bar,
yes,
and that's in the fact that he's walking through what would essentially be a red light district that shouldn't exist on this planet or in this system.
New
I thought what
Amsterdam.
was brilliant was the interior of the bar. It
Yeah.
looked like something out of Tron Legacy
Hmm.
for me, and I love the Tron franchise, and so I like that there's this. Even if it wasn't intentional, it was this nod to something else that Disney has.
Well, did either of you guys get what was the other
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner vibe?
Yeah. Oh,
I've
I
never.
absolutely.
like I watched that. I'm like, that's very Blade Runner esque.
I mean, I'll
Yes.
confess I've never seen Blade Runner, but I know enough of it to know
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Yeah.
production design. So
Yeah. There's
yes,
kind of a cyberpunk,
hmm
neo noir vibe to what was going on,
right,
yeah,
especially with the hard shadows, those hard contrasts between what was in the light, what was in the dark.
yeah,
exactly, yeah.
yeah,
But my favorite scene though was in episode 3 so far, and it was where towards the end of the episode where he's escaping with Stellan Skarsgård, and they mirror that with how he was rescued from that Imperial bunker by Fiona Shaw and the other guy with her. And I
yeah.
thought that was such a cool mirroring of plot points where you get the sense that he's in another situation where he's in over his head. He wants to be a fighter, but at the same time, he needs help getting out.
Hmm.
hmm
I agree. Yeah, I did enjoy that scene a lot, and I also enjoyed. Well, I mean, just in the first. I'm trying to think, was it the first or the second episode? But um, I mean, the whole bit with um, the droid. I can't remember the name of the droid.
Oh,
B.
B2
We call him B,
B
but
yeah B2
B2
MO
emo, B2
B2 MO.
emo. Such a cute new addition to the droid
Yeah,
family. And again, definitely, from other Disney catalogs, getting a real black hole vibe from Vincent, and
Yeah,
with mainly just the top, with the way it kind of tilts
wobbles.
back and forth,
yeah,
and to see him as an older, beat up, kind of worn out droid versus a newer in his prime when they did the flashback with him.
yeah.
So I just enjoyed all of his scenes, and
I love the fact that he mentioned that when he said, when Cassian said, "Can you lie for me?" and he made the comment of, "I have enough power." What was the line? I have enough
yeah, power. I think I have enough
power,
reserve power, or whatever. Yeah.
power to do that. That droids literally have to have a certain amount of power to tell a lie.
Yeah,
I thought that was just like a neat little thing that was added
Like
to the
kind of,
Star
yeah, it
Wars.
adds to the faux science of how
Yeah,
droids work.
what
Um,
what I thought was really neat though is with B is that as a droid, he's got this like the personality I got was like this little old guy who like everyone kind of looks down on him. You know, you see the dog like creatures running by, and one takes
Yeah.
the leap on him. You know, he looks like he's this little runt of an old man just trying to get through town, but you know he's not willing to take flack from somebody. He's willing to stick up for himself, but in small doses.
Yeah, he just does a
You know,
little just give him a little zap.
Yeah, he'll give his zap to some dog that's tinkling on him, but he's a little bit iffy about lying to the government.
So from a story perspective, and of course spoilers for anybody listening, spoilers are going to happen here.
They've been happening.
Do you think? Are we to assume? And it seemed like we are, but tell me what you guys think. That the whole scene at the beginning when Cassian kills the two guards or the two soldiers, that might be the first time he ever killed.
I think so.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, if you think about the Cassian when we first met Cassian, think about that very first scene. What did he do? He not only did he kill a guy, but he shot him in the back, and he calmed him down first. It's gonna be okay. And then
it was one of his own.
Like,
it was someone on his side.
Yes, it was his own ally. We were all like, everybody in the audience was like, it was one of those like
really
jarring moments. Like, oh, this is not going to be the Star Wars I'm used to. Okay, let's move forward. But but to have that, and then contrast that to this Cassian, who all he did was push the. I don't think at first I thought he when he did the headbutt, that the headbutt, and then the other guy shot the other guy. He kind of pointed the gun, but they never showed that. It's not what happened. He just fell, and he probably just hit his head and died. So,
well, and if you hit the face hard enough, if you fracture, you can cause enough concussive force to kill somebody.
So even that. So if assuming he did that, assuming he killed him that way, I don't think he realized. And he's like, "Oh my God, get him up, get him up, get him up."
Well, and if you look at his body language when he does the headbutt, it's kind of a split decision. Where like at first he's just like he's going to let them have the credits, but then like he decides, you know what, screw these guys, I'm going to fight back, and he headbutts. Yeah. The guy goes down. He wrestles with the other guy with the gun, and then they realize the guy's dead
the whole time.
And so finally, and you can see him processing. Should I let this guy go? Is he going to hold to the lie? What's going on? And you could see Cassian's mind process through this decision, and like you think, okay, he's going to let him go, boom, and just takes him out, and just whoa,
whoa,
yeah.
But then he's left to live with this decision, and although I don't think he's wrestling with it too much, it's just it's just such.
Well, he's been a survivor. Although I do think he may have had to have killed when he was on Kenari before he left the planet, because he was because those kids were survivalists to some extent.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's something they'll explore or not. I was just wondering what you guys thought. I don't think it has to be.
I wonder if it's something that's the first time that he's had to kill that close.
Like
it could have been
almost execution style, a guy begging for his life, and then boom. So I don't know, but it was a powerful scene, and it certainly got the ball rolling, and the whole like securities. I enjoyed the scene with the old time security guy.
Yeah.
Like he was, as you mentioned, he's going through like, oh, this is what we're going to say happened. And I got to say this too. It's just a little thing, but I just like it. And that is it because they shot this in the UK. So it was just nice that, everybody spoke with the British accent, like
or Scottish,
or Scottish. Thank you.
Yeah.
We didn't have as much of that, because of all the shows shot in LA, everything being shot, not that that's fine. It's not a problem, but it was just kind of, that's the reason that they kind of brought me back to the original trilogy, and like, they shot it in Elstree, and all these actors, they're just UK blokes that are coming in and sometimes they spoke with the American accent, if they were the rebel pilots or whatever. But beyond that, it was basically all, either King's English. They didn't do a lot of Cockney then in the original trilogy, but they did do the King's English, and it was just funny to hear
Now,
that again. Like, oh yeah,
did
oh,
did, did anybody else love the cringeworthy speech that not Imperial officer, but the
security.
security gave on trying to amp up the troops? Like,
I thought it was a brilliant piece of writing. The delivery is just bar none. Like you can tell like I got the pardon the expression, but I got a sense of like Fat Bastard from the Awesome Powers movies, only less comedy, more serious, and totally someone you could consider an actual danger.
Well, no, I'm talking about the actual officer, like when he gives his speech, and you can just tell
Cyril. His name is Cyril Karn. Cyril
and he
Karn.
is just bombing like you would not believe.
Yeah, and then the guy behind him
got
is
this
like,
thing of like this, yeah. And you get the sense like he knows he's bombing. You know, he's like, I should just shut up.
You
right
can
now.
see it in his head.
Just like keeps going.
Yep. Let's do this. He does a little hand thing. What? How did this guy get to become the leader of this group? What the heck did he do?
Well,
he kissed enough butt.
I guess that's it, huh?
Well, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, you kiss enough butt, you kiss up to the right people. It's all about who you know and
Yeah.
I'll wager 300 Republic credits that this guy was a he has family in all the right places.
Oh yeah.
That makes sense.
His dad's probably been an Imperial officer somewhere.
Either an Imperial officer or a senator.
Yes. And he wasn't quite good enough to make it as a officer in the Imperial Navy or as a member of the Imperial Senate. So they're like, yeah, we'll give you this little job over here. Get you out of the way.
So let's talk about oh God. Now I'm going to forget his name. Skarsgård. Stellan Skarsgård character. Which is Luthen.
Try saying that 3 times real fast.
Yeah, right? It's easier to just say his character name. Luthen Rail. He first of all, I've been wanting this guy to be in a Star Wars film or TV series forever because he's just so great. But
between Pirates and Marvel.
Yep. I know. He was like bouncing around, and then finally we get him. And I think it's going to be a different type of mentor role.
Well, and the other thing I like about it is, Skarsgård's persona, like the way he's portraying this is there's kind of that. If you guys ever saw Chernobyl, he was in that one. We're seeing that he's got that high caliber, I'm in charge mentality. But then I can kind of see the edginess that he used when he played the sub commander in Hunt for Red October. And so I'm like he played one of
God, he played that. Oh my God.
Yeah, he played Sean Connery's former student.
Yes. Guy was always like sitting there sweating with the cigarette.
Yes.
It always reminded me of a Batman episode because he was always on the side. Because they were always either ascending
and they had the red light.
Yeah, the red light always. Oh, yeah, that was great.
Yeah. But I'm seeing those elements, those characterizations from prior roles working themselves into, because we've got a character who's essentially a spy. He's working the political angle to some extent. He's working the military angle to an extent, and so he knows how to use that position to gain access where he needs access.
Yeah. I loved how he is, he started off kind of mysterious, and then by that great conversation, I'm surprised they actually released that scene with him when he first meets Cassian, and they kind of did a slightly edited version of it that they released on like internet, like officially. And it was like, wow, I can't believe. I mean, it was great. It got my interest peaked, but that was such a great scene. But I also I love the scene in the trolley. I call it the space trolley with the other guy. The guy looks like he's from Austria with the hat.
Oh yeah,
I was just loving like the familiar yet definitely otherworldly too, and they're just talking about stuff, and it's that
It,
annoying guy who starts talking to you on a train, and then he'll get moved over to sit next to you.
like that's the galactic version of Death of a Salesman.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, just like
Yeah, actually the scene reminded me of Back to the Future 3, where Mary Steenburgen's on the train and
yes,
she's talking to the barbed wire peddler.
yeah, right.
Only this time they're talking about death and taxes.
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh. No, I did. I mean, but I was there for it, and I'm like, and the collector in me is like, I know they're never going to do it, but I want an action figure of that guy.
yes.
I just do with his big gold coat and that little hat. I just want it, and his little briefcase. It's like, yeah. Now I'm thinking Back to the Future too. I'm peddling this barbed wire coast to coast has taught me one thing. No.
Wow.
I did, there's just these moments, these little
Oh
wonderful nuggets of pure joy, even if it's not even a happy moment, even if it's just, it's just a quick ditty between two people lamenting on how great things used to be or whatever. Still just a nice,
yeah.
nice little additive.
Yeah. What about the decision to kill off the one guy, I gotta start remembering character names.
Oh, guys, we are going to be in trouble, man, because this, like, with all these new series coming out.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna have to get
What episode are we talking? 1, 2, or 3?
3. He's the one that basically ratted out Cassian.
Oh, and he got shot.
Yeah, that was that was like, and that just came out of nowhere. That was just like he's running at him and just bam.
I think that was Rachi.
I think so. Yeah,
I think that
was
like
you had
or maybe not. I don't. Let me look, see if there's anybody else here, but I think maybe
that was. You could see it coming when he started going towards like, oh, something's going to happen here. Something's going to happen here. And then, but still, for me, it was just kind of a jarring moment. Just like
if they're going to have any kind of romantic interest between Cassian and
Bix.
Yeah.
By the way, that name I know sometimes the Star Wars names don't resonate with me. You know what I mean? Like there are certain names that just take me a while to get under my head. But I like Bix.
Mm-hmm.
Takes me back to like something out of the Droids cartoon series or whatever. But I was like, all right, I like that. But even though she was involved with him, with the other guy, well, he's out of the picture now. So there you go.
Hey.
Even though I don't know if there'll be any time for that with the two of them. So
no, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting if they follow the path that they did with the flashbacks. If they follow the path that they did with Book of Boba Fett, where you'll get several episodes with the flashbacks that'll catch us up to, or if it'll be more like what they did with Obi-Wan, where it will be here and there they'll do flashbacks.
Yeah, it's gonna. Keep in mind that I'm sure there'll still be flashbacks, but I don't know if I think we might be done with the Lord of the Flies kids because at least
I think now
off world now with.
I wouldn't be surprised if the next flashback we get doesn't do some sort of time jump where you'll see a slightly older Cassian, maybe an early teens Cassian.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I thought his character served its purpose. He ratted out Cassian, and kind of showed the desperation of the people that are there.
Yeah.
But wow.
See, I didn't get a desperate. I got more of a sense of jealousy.
Oh yeah,
like he saw they were together.
But
he kind of thought,
I also actually the other thing I thought of was that when he did it, he was totally drunk. So that of course, adds
but
to
you also get this idea. I also like you said, the sort of desperation, this sort of idea of the fear that the Empire brought, where people were ratting each other out, and hear
But how
something, say
cool though?
something, and
Right, but how cool was it though that they all did the thing with them rapping on the metal? Cha cha cha
that was
cha.
That was really neat.
Now, I thought that was really interesting because I was expecting something to happen. And maybe it was because Marva was saying that. It's like it's when the rapping stops, that's when it really starts to worry. And they're like, what happens then?
yeah,
And she didn't answer. And I'm like, what
yeah,
does happen? So I was on the same way. But I think that was just the point. The point of it was not, it was just to freak them out, you know,
yeah,
Yeah.
to communicate to the whole town that this is going down. And
Well,
then the only thing that really happened beyond what Cassie and Luthen were doing was his what's his other friend's name, the one he always works with,
Brazo.
Brazo,
yeah,
right? And Brazo, you know, that was fun. He tied the thing to a piece of junk, and that was basically it. So and
yeah,
but the heavy set blue guard was like, oh, it's an ambush or whatever. I'm like, was it?
yeah. Well,
Here's something to consider, though. I'm like from a historical lens.
Hmm.
One of the things that I think is really neat is that if we keep going back to the German socialist metaphor that the empire represents to some extent, you have uh, it wasn't uncommon for that particular government and military branch to once they conquered a particular area or region and they annexed it within to the Reich, they had local law enforcement or security provide coverage for that area so that they didn't have to extend their troops and resources. And at that point, it basically turned the people against the people who should have been protecting them.
Mm.
And we're seeing that here because the Pre-War Security Agency, that's what they're doing. They're operating in this mindset that, hey, we're supposed to be protecting you guys, but something is but they are working for the empire because that's who's paying their bills now
Hmm.
and their coffers. But then you've got the people turning against them in
Right.
this.
Right. So there's, they have, but it seems they also seem very organized. Like they have a plan in place of what to do when they see. I guess in this case, they saw that when they see the secure. I don't think they were all there to help Cassian. I think it was just
They're
they
tired
saw
of the
the blue. I call them the blue guards, but the private security force, and there was a dozen or 2 dozen of them there, and they were gonna know polite discourse. I don't know. Mess with them a little. Who knows? But yeah, we think we lost John there for a minute. Oh, there he
yeah.
is.
I
He's
lost
back.
you guys for several minutes, so I missed that entire conversation.
We were just talking. Garrett was just mentioning about using the parallels of the World War II,
Mm.
German, the
German
German
invasion.
military.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I got the first part of that, but then
yeah.
as you began talking
Just
about it, you
about
just completely cut out.
just about how the discourse kind of happened
Yeah,
among the people in some
yeah.
ways.
That's okay. You missed my boring diatribe. That's okay.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine. That's fine. Oh well.
So
I also like that they notice they shut all the shop windows.
yeah,
Like
just
everything
being.
just shut down.
And I like that they don't have like that the windows aren't really they're not really windows. They're mostly just open walls. They're
Yeah.
open crevices. And they're not really that protected. It's just like knocking it's like something out of the Flintstones, like just
Mhm.
knocking down like little shutters that come
Well,
or
it
blinds
gets,
even.
as someone who's been to I've been to Thailand a couple times, and the idea of sort of the storefront house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost John again. We keep losing John.
No, our
No.
fearless leader.
Oh dear. All right. Well, we can continue while he's figuring stuff out. So, trying to think other things. I will talk a little bit about music. I wasn't bowled over by it.
No.
I would say that as of right now, I mean, I liked. It seems that music is taking a definitely more of an effect role rather than a a full out character in and of itself. I feel like
It's not the driving force that we see
no,
in previous entries.
exactly. Well, obviously not, certainly not John Williams, but not even in what we've seen with Ludwig Göransson and some of the other writers that have been working. Having said that, it's not something I'm going to listen to on my own, but I don't mind it. I just, I like there were a few moments of a little electronica, kind of
Mhm.
electronic music in there, which I think was placed appropriately in what they were doing. Kind of I remember the end of the second episode sticks out in my mind. It was a little more of a rock kind of.
Yeah.
It almost
You
felt like we were coming dangerously close to Rocky training montage music. It was like it was getting into that level, and
Well,
then it didn't
you
go
can
there. It
start,
just came close.
yeah, you can start hearing the kind of the distortion of that overdrive channel on the guitars, and it
Right,
was
right,
I actually like that because from like a rock perspective, it gives it gives a particular tone to the to what's happening in the scene without it being noticeable.
right.
Unless you're a musician, you're not going to be picking up on what sound quality or tone is being used in the music. You're just going to be like, oh, there's music there.
Yeah. No, I mean, and again, I think it's definitely a little bit more modern in its usage. And it's definitely, they've lately have gotten away from the whole leitmotif idea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no, we can't hear you, John. Sorry, he just texted me. Oh, now Garrett's out too, and now it's just me. Okay, I don't know what's going on in the world out there, but so you got booted out, Garrett, and then it
I
was just me.
I don't know what happened. I'm not even the one in control.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe the Empire is catching wind of what we're saying and they're trying to
Yeah,
get
they're
rid of
not
us.
liking what we're saying about them. Okay. Oh dear. All right. Well, I want to wrap it up, and we get close to wrapping it up, but we don't even have John in here to end it.
Yeah,
So
I
but I
know.
guess once we end it, you and I can leave the show and leave it at that. But and then he'll take the hint.
I will say this. We've been talking a lot about what we do like about Andor, and while I like the more mature quality of the show and the way it's written, one thing I feel is out of place is the use of profanity. Now, when when Fiona Shaw uh, drops the word bastards in there, referring to the Empire and all that, that I don't have a problem with because that does feel in line with what we've seen in Star Wars. Because Han used the word hell in Empire
Right.
Strikes Back, but when that commander, the Scottish guy on the Blue Force, um, when drops the word shit in there, I'm like, that feels really out of place. Like for like a split second, I'm taken out of the
Yeah.
world that I'm in. I'm like, that does not feel like Star Wars.
I agree. I think that if they're going, well, I agree in the sense that they did not make the commitment to just have that be all the way along. In fact, with the television shows, what they did do instead was, dank farrik and start using Star Wars slang.
Yeah.
And I feel like, okay, guys, fine. That's fine. We probably need to come up with more than just dank farrik.
Well, I know that in the comics, especially the Dark Horse runs, they had other phrases like "cark me" or "karkin." It was
Yeah.
because it was taken from Huttese slang. Um, but
Right.
yeah,
Right. Right. Like Slamo and
yeah, and for something on the mid rim or outer rim, that would make more sense because then you would have a lot to work with.
right. Right. All right, so it looks like our yeah, I would say, but before we do that, yeah, our fearless leader John is unable to get back on for whatever reason. He's having some issues over there. So we're gonna wrap up in a few minutes, but I did want to say, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And it's not a prudish thing or anything of that nature. I don't have an issue with cursing, but if are they gonna curse Dank Farrik, or are they gonna say, human Earth based curse words? Now, having said that, where is a curse word okay? What the hell are you doing, Han Solo? Or, you know, versus not. I guess it's up to the beholder, and I guess that's what the writers and/or director decided. But so
although to
it
be
does.
fair, the most bleeped out and censored character in all of Star Wars is hands down R2D2. I mean,
I know
everything he said
every
came out of
single
the beep.
thing. I mean, really, everything is bleeped. Jeez. Anyway, so
Yeah,
I'm trying to think
good
of
job,
anything else
R2.
that I didn't that didn't resonate. And I mean, not really. I mean, it's a dark time, so it's a very dark story. And
Yeah.
I'm more of an uplifting kind of guy myself. I'm a Disney movie fan. But having said that, I loved Rogue One, and I loved, I can accept a story for what it is. And this is, let's just say it. If you're going to tell a story about Cassian Andor, who's been in this fight since he was 6 years old, and then died very prematurely at the hands of the Death Star. It's not going to be, and he's been fighting his whole life. It ain't going to be a happy story.
Oh no, I don't anticipate it to be any kind of happy ending compared to what we've seen in previous Star Wars entries.
Right.
It's not going to have that feel good feeling, and
No.
that's perfectly fine. I like that. I just want to make sure that the um, what we know of as what's considered canon, whether it's pre Disney or post Disney, it stays consistent as far as how characters talk.
Sure. I mean, I think well, they did mention calf, right?
Yeah, that I
that
liked.
was
I'm
a
like,
good one.
oh, good. Someone's
They
drinking coffee.
Somebody's drinking coffee. Good. I mean, we can relate. Because again, it's not. This whole thing. I mean, even though it's an other world, it's always been kind of a familiar world. Everything about it could be otherworldly. I mean, yeah, you can have other creatures. I will say, I thought I was seeing. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go back and look, but I think I might have seen some characters, some creatures that were actually sequel trilogy creatures, which I hope we will see more of, because that one of the biggest complaints that I heard a lot about was, you went from this original trilogy, then you went to the prequel trilogy, which expanded on the creatures, but gave us original trilogy creatures too. So kind of just added to the library. But then when you got to the sequel trilogy, you and Rogue One and well, Rogue One to a lesser extent, you kind of introduced all these new characters and creatures, all these new creatures. You go into Maz Kanata's, bar there, and there's like literally hundreds of new creatures. You go to Canto Bight, hundreds of new creatures. And it was great. I love the look of it. I love the fact that it just expanded on the world. But it would have been nice to see a Rodian or a Hammerhead, or an Aqualish once in a while. You did get a little bit of that with Rogue One, but and you've been getting a lot more of a return to that in the streaming series.
Yeah.
But I would like to see. I don't want to abandon. I hope they don't abandon all of the sequel trilogy. This like huge new catalog of great alien species that I hope we can see. And I think we did see a few that in the background that we were seeing in the Disney era movies, and I'd like to just see it expand on everything. So hopefully they do that.
That
But
would be nice.
yeah, but yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward for the next. I think we could handle an hour episode. I wish they'd go just a little bit longer, but they do seem to tell a succinct story, and I think that is the 36-minute, 42-minute. It's really like 6 minutes less than that. You ever notice that the credits go like 6 minutes?
Yeah, because they have to put in like all the different dubbing and stuff for like
Dubbing and
the
everything.
different
Yes,
countries.
it's
It's
really
like
like. So I guess it's like 30 minutes and
it
36
saves them
minutes.
from having to edit every single regional episode stream.
Right.
So
So I'm sensing that you know uh I mean, I think they tell the story they need to tell for that week, and it seems to fit, and it doesn't, and because of that, it can be a little bit more of a get down into the weeds with the characters, and flesh them out a little bit more, take a little more time, and it's okay. So if they want to keep it there, it's fine. But I wouldn't mind if they could stretch out some of it. Seems like they always save it for like the last episode of the season, and that one's like 55, 60 minutes. So
Yeah.
they do. There were rumors saying that each episode was going to be like 90 minutes. I was like, that's not what happened. So
That's a long time for one episode. I mean, I can understand that if you're doing 3 episodes total for the season
right,
and it's the BBC. That makes sense.
yes, yeah. BBC School of Series Production. All right, well, so we're both excited. So your final thoughts on it? You think you're hooked? You're gonna watch the rest?
Oh, absolutely. I work as a film critic, so when I'm not writing stories about city council, but I as far as Star Wars series go, I am amped for this one in a way that I wanted to be amped for Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be amped for Book of Boba Fett, but I just haven't been as it just hasn't been as connective for me as the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian.
Okay.
Like Mandalorian, I'm gung ho. I'm looking very much forward to the next season on that show. Bad Batch, I love. I'm always going to be good for animation, but I like. This one brings me. It's a new hope for me.
Right.
So
okay.
no
There
pun
you go.
intended.
Yeah. All right. So that'll do it for this episode. So Garrett, why don't you say where we can reach you or get
All
a
right.
hold of you?
Well, you guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at GKJ_publishing. I post about my books. I post about what I'm working on with my YouTube channel, which is called GKJ Publishing. The 5th season of my show, The Right Way, which is its official new title now, is coming out on Saturday. This coming Saturday, October 1st. Season 5 launches. I'm going to have all new recommended top 10 reading books. I'm going to have all new author interviews, all new writing tips for world building specifically this season. And so you'll be able to find that. That episode goes live on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'm looking forward to having it because, well, Will is actually going to be a guest host later in the season. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Great. Looking forward to that. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And for me, you guys can find me on YouTube. I have Darth Tuba's Star Wars Unboxing Show. It's been crazy stuff coming in, getting delivered. All the pre-orders are coming in, and they just all seem to come in at once, which is really annoying. But we've been able to do a lot of unboxing. So I've actually pre-recorded shows right up through mid-October. So there'll be a lot of that. And I'm starting to do a couple of these new YouTube shorts here and there, so you can look for those. And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Darth Tuba. And Darth Tuba Star Wars Unboxing page on Facebook. And you can email me, darthtuba77 at gmail.com. And as far as War of the Stars, obviously this is the War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast where you can find wherever podcasts are found. And we also have War of the Stars on Twitter, which is War of the Stars 1. And you can search for us again on Facebook. And do you remember our email?
I believe it's War of the Stars 1 at
gmail.com. It's a
gmail.com.
Yeah. So, all right. So before we let you go, I just want to remind everybody that let's always remember that this isn't just your Star Wars. This isn't just my Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. So until next time, may the Force be with you.
And also with you.
All right. So I'm texting him now that we are done. Okay. So it looks like for people that are still listening, I don't know if hopefully the podcast will cut this short, but if it doesn't, okay, we're going to do a little song, a little dance.
I've got some guitars back here. I can
there we go. I can grab
a little Max Rebo band.
Oh, there we go. We got it. I could play a little lapty neck. It's all right. We're good.
So, actually, I thought you'd get a kick out of this. These are just 4 of my 6 guitars.
Wow. Okay.
So
Amazing.
My older two,